Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, y'all. We made it to Thursday. It is Thursday, May the 12th, 2022, and it's time for some headline news. So come on up in the room, people. Come on up in the room. I see you, Camille Hopkins. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. To everyone who's tuning in by audio, I just want to give you a shout out. Thank you for your commitment and your support and consistency, always turning in to see what it is that we're talking about right here on News in Motion. I see you, Marion Jackson. Good morning to you. Do us a favor if you're ever out and about. Good morning, Tracy Newmy. If you're ever just out and about, or you're at your workplace, or you're in the car line at the school, just go ahead and let someone know. Let them know what you're listening to. Ask them to come on in and join the family. I see you, Rosanna Bivens. I see you. Jeffrey Allen James, I think I saw you popping in. Yeah, you did. You did. Okay, I'm looking at the thing. I see you, Deborah Johnson. Well, thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good morning, Deborah Sneed. Good morning. Deborah Sneed, I'm making your basket today. I'm making your basket today. I'll inbox you a picture of that as well. It won't be till this afternoon, but I'm making that basket today. Good morning, Renee Owens and Shardinia. Good morning to you. Good morning. Y'all, I realize we had a lot of news this week, and we still have even more today. But that's what we do. We want to give you some information, and then you take what you will from it, and then you implement it, share it, do whatever it is. If you noticed yesterday, we gave you a lot of links. I decided to start giving you the links for you to go in and check it out for yourself and to share it. So if you're ever in a conversation with someone, you can say, I have a link for that, and you can send them directly to that link that they can fact check it. Good morning, Patricia Lyles, my sister. I see you, Dana Mosley. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all know sharing is free, and sharing is a way of letting other people know this is what I'm doing in the morning. So if you don't mind, go ahead and share that button. Also hit the impressions, So that will help alert other people that this is happening. I see you, Adrian. I see you, Kenny Stanley. I see you. What's up, Diane Ladybug? Girl, I was thinking about you yesterday. I'll call you later on today. I was thinking about you yesterday. I got an idea for you. I have an idea for you. Good morning, Pastor Alex. What is it like in Florida? Let us know. Let us know. Maybe I don't want to know. Have you ever noticed, if you follow Pastor Alex and his wife on Facebook or Instagram, they always posting these pictures where they're sitting down with their legs crossed, relaxing, and they see either the sun, either rising or falling, and the waves and the water. They just be cutting up with that. I see you, Hester. I see you, Lori. Hey, I'm asking you all to join me in supporting Lori's work. She's taken on a serious event that she is designing from beginning to end. It's going to be in August. Remind me, Lori, it's going to be in August. And they're looking for sponsors also. So if you want to share some love with Lori, please do so. It's an awards, dance, art event. Is huge, it's major, and she could use our help. And Lori, feel free to put whatever information in the chat. I'm giving you that permission to do so, because I think what you're doing is absolutely fabulous. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of it and to share it. I see you, Jacqueline. I see you. Y'all see Pastor Alex? He put up there sunny and pleasant. I see you, Shirley Nicholson. I see you. All right, y'all. We got a lot to cover, so let's get this news started. Y'all, if you are not following me on Instagram, do so. I am the @ Gail Dudley, GAILD as in David, UD as in David, LEY. I'm doing some reels, giving some short snippet things of news throughout the day, and leaving you all with the question to ask or not ask. I see you. Good morning, Judy Neal. So y'all, the headline reads, U.S. fines 500 Native American boarding school deaths so far. And this is Associated Press AP News reporting. This is residential school abuse. And I want everyone to take notice of this. I see you, Latrice. What's up, sister? Native American children at more than 400 boarding schools across the U.S. suffered physical and sexual abuse, solitary confinement, malnourishment, and more in the decades spanning from 1819 to 1969. I'm sure you're seeing this all over the news headlines over the last possibly 12 or so hours. The findings released in a federal report yesterday also concluded a number of the schools were responsible for the deaths of at least 500 children, uncovering roughly 50 burial sites. That's horrific. We need to pay attention. We also need to show our support. We need to protest. We need to do what's ever necessary to make sure that remains a part of the headline so people know what exactly happened. Yes, Rosanna, very sad. And thank you, Latrice, for sharing. All right, y'all, the Columbus Dispatch reports, and I'm sure this is happening everywhere because I went to Feeding America and I see this happening everywhere. Y'all, food banks and low-income Ohioans, and you can enter your own state there, are struggling to obtain fresh and healthy foods as food prices soar due to labor shortages and supply chains disruptions caused by COVID-19. Now, this is now the trickle effect, or whatever you want to call it, that's coming, what we're seeing now that has taken place 2 years ago with COVID-19. And by the way, COVID's not gone. So we still have this issue. If y'all remember, in Texas, we had Governor Greg Abbott that was holding up truckers. Well, not he himself, but his officials holding up truckers, thinking that immigrants were hiding in the trucks. And y'all remember tons, millions, just the supply chain, a lot of the produce and meat ended up being spoiled. And they said that was in the millions, if not billions of dollars. And then packages that were overheated, they didn't know if the freshness was still there. So those had to be destroyed as well. So y'all, we have that going on. Now, the pandemic has actually worsened the food insecurity, not only in Ohio, but in every state. With more right here in Ohio, 334,000 people served in pantries in March than 2 years ago. Now, this is more right here just in the state of Ohio. What's up, Fred Jones? Y'all, now, when the federal government potentially ends COVID-19, and we don't know when that is, what's up, Mike Nicholson? Emergency declaration in July, significant boost to supplemental nutrition assistant food programs, say that real fast, or food stamps will disappear. That's where I want to get to. What's up, Kim Edmondson? Will disappear for at least, and this is a report from Ohio, but insert your own state, look at the numbers there. In Ohio, it will disappear for at least 700,000 Ohio households. We're going to be in trouble come 2 months from now, really a month and a half from now. So I want to lean on everyone now and say, go back to what we talked about during the height of COVID. If you're at the grocery store and you're able to pick up a couple extra cans of food or package items, not really the bread or the produce or anything, formula, diapers, anything like that, pick it up, get you a stack and take it to your food bank in your local community. Churches as well, whatever that looks like, start thinking about that now so that you can have that. Now, more people are expected to start showing up at food pantries this summer. Why? Because the July 2022, where COVID, the height of the pandemic, that program will end. That program will end. And you would think, well, we have a low unemployment rate. So what's really happening? This is going back to why we vote, getting the understanding and the research of who's voting, where, how, when, so forth. Kim says, food stamps, yeah, it's going to disappear. They're going to decrease significantly. So imagine, and I'm getting there. And we have some images, but hold on, Isaiah, not yet. Imagine that people received anywhere from $100 to $180 increase in their food stamps, in their benefit packages, if you will. Well, that's not going to be taken away, although inflation is taking place. Yeah, this is lopsided. It doesn't make sense. This is why here, and y'all noticed this week, I made that announcement. Here, we're going to deal with voting on a different level. Shirley says, unfortunately, hubby and I have been exposed to COVID-19 during filming the ABC pilot, Finding Harmony. Oh, that took place last Saturday. Well, we are praying for you all. It says, though we tested negative, we will still be under quarantine. If you took part in a production, please go and get tested. Wow, thank you. So if anyone in Ohio, in Central Ohio, took place in the big choir, John Legend, it's a production of John Legend. It's like, oh, come on, John Legend to Columbus, Ohio. If you were there, and I think there were they were looking for 20,000 voices. If you were out there, I guess that would be called a super spreader. You do want to get tested for that. So thank you for that, for sharing that. Okay, y'all. So back to this, these food pantries and everything that's happening here. Food banks are seeking more state money to help, and because they fear that they're going to have to turn people away. So wherever you are viewing this news in motion, not just you, get your neighbors, if you go to church, get your church to participate, schools, high school students, maybe they can bring cans of food to the graduation. You have to be very creative. Cans of food to a graduation party, cans of food to a bridal shower. I know y'all think I'm crazy, but we have to become very creative of how we're going to do this to make sure these food banks stay stocked. All right, so we're going to show you two images from the Gallup poll. And then we also will show you the link of how you can look at all the information there. So the first image you will see here, this is the Economic Confidence Index. This is from 1996 to 2022. Look at that dip. Look at that dip. So when we're talking about inflation, that's there. That's happening. So the next image you're going to see of the Gallup poll thing is the percentage of Americans mentioning economic issues as the nation's most important problem. Okay, so this is the most important problem. Thank you, Isaiah. So when we're talking about voting and we're talking about messaging, we should be looking for the candidates that are having this conversation. What are we doing about inflation? What are we doing about food insecurity? What are we doing? Because that's also tied to healthcare. That is also tied to homelessness, shelter. That's also tied to jobs. There's a disconnect somewhere. So you can't just say, oh, that's inflation. No, inflation is impacting in other directions as well. You cannot say, oh, that's healthcare, because healthcare is also, you got to connect these dots. So messaging, what's the message? You need to be tuning in to hear what's the message of those who are running for office. What's the message of those who are actually in office? What is the message? What's the message? Sharon says, I actually spoke about this 2 years ago when China had bananas for $20 a bundle, like 6 bananas. Went to Walmart, 18 dozen of eggs, $9. The cashier was like, yes, that's correct. That's happening. So it's hitting us in many different directions. And we need to continue to look at this. Sometimes we turn off when they talk about the Dow Jones or what increased or what the bottom fell out of this, the different language that they're using. We need to say, okay, how do I fit into this? How did my representative or my representatives vote on this? What do we need to do on a local level? What does a food bank look like here? What about the homeless shelters? What are the dollars that are being poured in? What type of grants, federal or local, are being funded? Y'all, these are questions. And I know everyone's not there. But if more of us start asking questions, raising questions, people are going to have to start responding to us. We cannot just be fly by the night like, oh, I'm not interested. Y'all, inflation is real. You may not be feeling it at the moment, but it's going to hit all of us. It's going to hit all of us. And what Sharon just said, you go in and you're like, wait a minute, just last week, milk was what? And now it's what? Well, what about cereal? And here's the other thing that's happening. Pay attention to this. And there are some articles out there, just Google it. The package may the price may stay the same, but the packages are shrinking. And we did a report on this on News in Motion about 2 or 3 months ago. The packaging is shrinking. I was at Starbucks. I'm calling Starbucks out. And I looked at that. I said, this is not a grande cup. No way, no how. So I go to Twitter. That's where I go. I go to Twitter at Starbucks and I took a picture. This is no longer the same cup size. However, you did change this is still the price, but you did change the cup size. Let people know, I see what you're doing. Don't play with me. I see what you're doing. Y'all, that's raising our voices. That's raising our voices. So then we hit inflation. New York Times reporting. There's a great article by German Lopez. Find it, and it says food prices have increased 17 months in a row. Food prices have increased 17 months in a row. I'll say that again. Food prices have increased 17 months in a row, and we all need to eat. So, y'all, the government reported yesterday that the prices rose 8.3% over a 12-month ending in April. So, rose 8.3%. High inflation has now persisted like this since 4 decades ago, okay? And that was when Ronald Reagan was the president and in office. Now, this is all happening. Wow, again, the unemployment rate is low and the economy is has rapidly grown over the past 2 years. So kudos to President Biden and his administration for seeing that growth. Kudos to the low job numbers. But here's the truth. There's also the great resignation. People have been leaving their jobs on purpose. Some have been going to other jobs. Some are starting their own businesses, going into consulting or whatever. But there is a great resignation. Well, it's now starting to mess with the calculator. We have a link, and we'll put it also in the chat, but this is called the inflation calculator. Yeah, y'all did my research. I want all of you to be armed with the tools necessary. We'll also put that in the chat. If you're listening by audio, just come to the News in Motion Facebook page and grab that link. I believe Isaiah is going to try to get that link in there as well. But y'all, this is a calculator that you can calculate the growth of inflation and what it looks like. So US inflation rose 8.3%. Like I said, year over year in April, slightly above expectations and near the 40-year high of 8.5% in March. Now, there's a relatively small drop the first month. So you're looking at the price index rising at 0.3% in April compared to 1.2% in March. Now, the consumer price index is a proxy for inflation that tracks the price of a basket of goods and services. So you're looking at that as a whole. Higher inflation means consumers can buy fewer goods with each dollar they spend. Fewer goods with each dollar they spend. The core consumer price index, which removed volatile food and energy prices, rose 0.6% on a monthly basis in April and up twice as much as 0.3% in March. So you see this changing. You'll see increase in fuel by the cost of housing, airline fares, and new vehicles. I'll say that again, housing, airline fares, and new vehicles. All right, we have a chart that we're going to show you. I think I have this chart in there. If not, I'll give you the the banner where you can find this chart. This is the Bureau of Labor Services.gov. So we're going to put that banner up there so you can see that. Check that out. You can see that chart to see the difference in things that are happening. Look for your state, look for what's happening in your area so that that you can have the tools and the knowledge to vote accordingly. And we'll get that to you as soon as possible. So, y'all, the headline also reads, with all of this that's happening, the headline also reads that Senate blocks bill to codify right to abortion. And that was all of the GOP and who? Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin opposed the measure as well. The Washington Post had an excellent report on this, and I want to break this down a little bit to go back to some of what I was talking about on Tuesday and Wednesday. So here's the reporting. The Senate on Wednesday did not advance legislation that will write a constitutional right to abortion into federal law. This was a symbolic gesture that Democrats cast as a first step in a larger strategy. Now, some of you may say, why did Majority Leader Chuck Schumer put that on the floor? Well, he put that on the floor on purpose because he knew it was not going to pass. He needed 60 votes, which means it wasn't the simple majority where it would have been 50-50 and then Vice President Harris would have came in and broke the tie. He didn't do a simple because the simple would have been busted open by the filibuster. Okay, let's just talk about that. So they didn't want to have all the filibuster, them trying to block it. So they went with the 60. They knew they were not going to get 60 votes. He did that because if they're smart, they'll use that with messaging going into the midterms. He did that to show this is how they voted. Now, Joe Manchin went over there with them. So let's pause. Let's break this down because I want you to get an understanding of what I'm saying here. That's politics. Actually, for the first time, Chuck Schumer played chess. That's politics. He did that on purpose. So he knew he wasn't going to get 60. But here's a question you should be asking yourself. When you hear a Susan Collins, you would ask the question, okay, even when you were in the Senate hearings with the nominee of Gorsuch, Barrett, and what's the other guy's name? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't think of his name. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The three Trump appointees that made of them. Kavanaugh, thank you, Kavanaugh. So those three, and you said that you stood behind it. Now, whether you agree or disagree, I'm just talking about Susan Collins for a moment, and you would not codify legislation that you claim that you are a part of and that you agree with. The question that we should be asking for anyone who voted for her would be this: can I trust her platform? Because she said this, but she did not show it on the other side here. What's really happening here and how do we deal with this? This is what I'm talking about when I say do your research based upon the grid I gave you on Tuesday. Is this person going to vote your way? Because she didn't do it. So that's going completely against her platform, even the platform she's using right now, running her campaign. Mike Nicholson says, Kenny over here, listen. Yeah, so we have to look at things like this. For those of you who are new and you're looking at me, I'm reading the chat and we have a conversation. So I pull from that. So if you're on my LinkedIn page or the YouTube page, or the Facebook page. Facebook is a place that has the majority of the conversation. We normally have a conversation. So going back to Susan Collins for a moment, that's how you sit back and ask a question. You can ask several people on the GOP side. Now I'm going to go a different direction this morning as well. The Wednesday vote was 51-49. Even with that, you can begin to ask the question, okay, how many people are married? How many men on that side are married to women? How many men on that side have daughters? Are they really understanding and are they listening? Because now the polling is more than 70% of the Americans. Before it was 70%. It was at that number. First, it was 66%. It's gone up to 70%. Now it's at 72%. 72% of Americans want women to have the right to choose, to have pro choice, and to right to speak to their bodies based upon their conversations with their physicians. Are our government officials not listening to the people? Why not? Okay, follow me, y'all. Follow me. Why not? Is it because we're connecting dots to money? More than likely, yes. Is it that it's depending upon who's feeding into their election, the dollars they're receiving from corporate sponsors? Yeah, that I'm sure there's a connection there. Are they answering just to those who are giving them cash, real cash, and not to their actual constituents? These are the questions we need to ask. This is why I believe we need, and I've been saying this from day one, I'm now being more bold about it. And by the way, pause right here just momentarily. Someone said, wow, I looked lighter once I gave my truth and shared my transparent moment with fear. Absolutely. When you face fear in its face head on, there's a freedom behind that that I cannot explain. So I probably did look about 20 years later once I made once I admitted to that. And that is, I was sharing with everyone, I'm tired of the labels. I'm tired of the Republican and the Democrats. I'm tired of that. I'm focused on what do they bring to the table? What does that look like? Sitting back, looking at the landscape of what's in the chamber and saying, okay, how do I need to vote to make sure these things advance? It's playing chess. It's playing chess. So when you look at this 51 to 49 vote, which fell well short of the 60 that was needed, is now what are you going to do about this now? What will be the messaging? What do I need to hear? And how am I going to have the faith and the trust that you're going to do what you say you're going to do? And that's where tables get real funny. So we have all 50 Republicans and then Senator Joe Manchin who oppose moving ahead on the bill. President Biden said in a statement afterwards that the vote runs counter to the will of the majority of American people. And that's what I was just saying. So are you saying to me, Senate, the senators who voted against this, are you saying to the people, you could care less about what we have to say? You're more interested in your corporate sponsors. That's the question on the table. And I think it's now time for us to take that stand. We also have to develop our own messaging that's going to get out there to other people. That's the stand we have to take. Now, this is interesting. Now, on the other side, the Senate approved Lisa Cook as the first Black woman on Federal Reserve Board of Governors. NPR News is reporting. I also saw that on your Twitter, Adrian. So what's happening here? What is this? Is this something like you give us this so you can take this away? What is it? So, y'all, this is why I think it's so important. Again, if you did not get the grid, let us know. If you're on Patreon, check it out. Patreon, you can join even for $3 a month if you want to now. That's where I'm always putting information out there. That money help us continue to do our grassroots journalism. You can go to www.patreon.com/Gail Dudley. It's under the Gail Dudley brand. News in Motion is a part of the Gail Dudley brand. You can do that, and we will send you, I think it's 5 pages. That just gives you just a format of what helps you pull all of this together. Now, the other news, NPR News is reporting more than 107,000 Americans died from drug overdose last year, according to government findings released on yesterday. The preliminary tally is the highest on record and 15% higher than the previous year. Now, overdose deaths have more than doubled since 2015. Well, we need to get back to this too. Y'all, there's so much news. That's why there are so many committees. Some of you may not know this, and maybe I'll get to it in the next few weeks. There are many committees within the chamber. So there's different committees in the Senate, and there's different committees in the House. We also need to look at who sits on those committees and what are they offering back to their constituents. Who's dealing with the fact that 107,000 people died last year from overdose? So where are the drugs coming from? What's the overdose? What are the rules, the regulations, and the standards for these physicians? We see here in Ohio what happened. The doctor got off after all these people died at Mount Carmel Hospital. So who's still raising those questions? What legislation needs to be written? Do y'all know, as constituents, we can submit legislation. We can write up things to submit it to our representatives, and it's up to them to submit it or take it to the floor. And sometimes it becomes bill. There are many bills that have come from everyday constituents. And I believe it's time for us to start putting our writing skills together. Everyone, you may say, well, I'm not a writer. That's why we're not writing letters to the editor. Well, find the writer, have them dictate what it is that you're saying. I'm going to try to get a local person here, Councilwoman Elizabeth Brown. She does this piece here in Ohio. I'm going to try to get her to do a workshop for us so that we can learn how to write these things. All right, now just to lighten up things a little bit, because it's Thursday and I won't be back till Monday. Y'all, the U.S. beer drinkers have increased. By the end of 2021, beer is nearly 100 billion with a B industry. According to the Beer Institute, the number of American breweries grew nearly 400%, grew 400% in the last decade. There are now 8,846 breweries in the U.S. That is happening. Y'all, this data comes from top agency and the Beer Institute. Now, New Hampshire leads the states in 2020 with the highest annual gallon per capita consumption. Yeah, that's happening, y'all, at 41.5 gallons per person, followed by Montana at 41.1, North Dakota 37.5, South Dakota 37.3, and Vermont 34. All American brewsters remain widely popular, especially after retaining the top ranking in 23 states. Why did I share that? Could it be, and even going back to drug overdose for people who are taking recreational drugs and now beer? And I see Rosanna said something about wine, or somebody, oh no, Lori said, wow, beer is cheaper than wine. So just to look at that, is it because people are turning to this because of the stress of what's happening in America with our government elected officials? Could that be that people are turning? Is it that inflation or people it has stressed people out and they're turning to drugs and beer and wine or liquor or whatever? Could it be, we showed earlier this week the suicide rate of inflicted gun shootings, the suicide rate? Could that be as well? Y'all, we need to really take this seriously. So although I lightened it up by talking about the consumption of beer, here's the truth to the other side of it. Are we as Americans just stressed out? Are we stressed out? And we don't want to know. And again, I'll say this: find you a trusted reporter, a host, a digital platform, national, international platform of news. Do not turn off the news, y'all. That can be dangerous. Find someone you trust, tune in when you're able to tune in to get the facts, and then make decisions as what you're going to do once you have received those facts. All right, with that, Ukraine retakes territory in the east. Y'all, they ain't giving up. Los Angeles Times had the best report, and I want to just give this to you, and I'll quote this. It says, the Ukrainian military pressed its counteroffensive against Russian troops on Wednesday, pushing them back. They pushed them back in a move that observers say could propel the conflict into a new phase. Now, the U.S. intelligence official has warned that Moscow was preparing for a protracted war. Now, the Ukrainian forces are now so close to Russia. This is how they're pushing them back. And y'all, these we're talking about people who have not been really trained. There were teachers who gave up, no, give me a rifle, give me machine gun, give me whatever. I'm going to fight. Women children, men. They're like, I'm fighting, I'm fighting. They're taking back what they have. So, y'all, they are so close. They have pushed them back that they are so close to Russia for the first time that a civilian in Russia died in cross-border shelling, according to Russian officials. Now, one person died, and they said six, including a 14-year-old boy, were wounded in this latest fight where Ukraine took back the east. So that is happening. That is happening. So y'all, with that, and I want to share this with you. Many of you know I took the week off of Holy Week, just praying, being with God, being by myself, seeking the Lord's face. I had someone praying alongside with me during that time, call it intercessor warfare, whatever. And God was giving me the inspirational messages. I usually do the inspirational messages either the day before, the day of, before when I'm putting together the script over the day before, and then I end up with the inspirational message. Well, God gave me messages all the way through June. And I was like, but God, I don't know what the news is going to be about. This is going completely opposite than what I usually do. And it was that voice that said, trust me. Y'all, I have been shocked that every inspirational message that I wrote during Holy Week went perfect with the reporting of that day. Y'all can't tell me that God is not real. Y'all cannot tell me that God is not real. All we have to do is submit and listen. So the inspirational message today is I will live. I will live. I will live. Y'all listen to the news I've given you today. Listen to the news I've given to you all week. We have a choice. We can roll over and die, or we can live. But let's choose to live and not die. Y'all, Psalms 118, 17, and 18 in the New International Version says this: I will not die, but live, and will proclaim what the Lord has done. The Lord has chastened me severely, but he has not given me over to death. Inflation is out there, but I'm not dead. I'm not dead. Shelves are sparse, but I'm not dead. I'm not dead. He has not given me over to death. Things are challenging. Gun laws are just out of the roof. People, anybody can get a gun. Praise be to God. I'm not dead. He has not given me over to death. The news is coming from the left and the right. It's overwhelming at times. Sometimes we think we are suffocating. Sometimes we just want to ball up somewhere in a corner or just go in the middle of the street and scream. But he has not given us over to death. I'm not dead. I shall live. I will live. In this living, people, in this living, we have a responsibility to speak the truth. The truth is, our current state of affairs in this government is in chaos and trouble. Yeah, something has to give. Something has to give. It's time for us to start speaking the truth and say, you know what? This may not be popular, but you're not fighting for my rights. And I put you in office. I put you in office. You're living well. You got about 3 or 4 homes. You're probably on a private jet, or you're flying first class when you fly. You have AIDS. And I'm going to talk about AIDS next week as well, because, y'all do know the lawmakers aren't reading all this on their own. Y'all know that, right? They have aides that are taking different sections of different legislations and different reports and bills. So even to codify Roe v. Wade, their aides took different pieces to read it. Well, who are the aides? We need to talk about that next week. Who are the aides? Are the aides listening to other people? Are they dealing with lobbyists? What is the connection? See, we want to look at the small piece. We have to look at the broader picture, you all. And that's where we're getting to. So even with that, with everybody doing what they're doing, you have to say, time out for this. It's time for me to vote my voice. And my voice says that something's not right here. We need to uncover the connection of those corporate sponsors. Stop giving it hush hush. But see, on the other side of this, y'all, we have to be bold enough to say, I'm not buying that. I'm not doing that. And yes, there's times we end up buying things. We find out later that was not a good purchase now that I have connected the dots. Let's be real. All of us do it. I do it too. I do it too. Or we want something so bad that we're just going to like say, I'm not, well, listen to that. I'm going to go for it anyway. Yes, Kim Edmondson, time out for the nonsense. Jacqueline, yes, it's Psalms 118 verses 17 and 18. That's how the New International Version. Psalm 118 verses 17 and 18 out of the New International Version. So y'all, we have to make a decision that we're going to live. We're going to live. Now, how do we do that? And I know I'm running over, but it's Thursday. I do what I want to. I'll be back on Monday. How are we going to do this? We have to make a concerted effort to say, you know what? I'm all in to the midterms. But even with that, you can't be done after the midterms. I will say it again. This midterm are probably the most important, is probably the most important election of our lifetime. I believe that with everything in me. I do. I do. There's a lot of chatter. There's a lot of distraction. We still hearing about Elon Musk and Twitter. Who cares? He's not bought it yet. That is going to take some time. So why are we still seeing reports on that every single day? Be still, be quiet, be silent about that. And we have to voice it. We're not being combative. We're being strong. So even when a person says, oh, I think you're overly aggressive. No, that's because you can't handle what it is that I'm saying. So it's better for you to say I'm being overly aggressive and you want to push back. I'm not going to let you put your stuff on me because you're uncomfortable with the fact that we're turning over some stones. Yeah, y'all, it's time. It is time to do that. And we have a responsibility. I know the majority of our viewers are Black and brown people. We have a responsibility to think about those who are oppressed and those who are marginalized. Y'all, we have breath in our body. Yesterday, I talked about as long as I still have breath, we have breath in our body. We are still alive. We have a responsibility to be caretakers of those who are either less educated, who are marginalized, who are oppressed. So even now, y'all, poll workers are important. Sign up if you can. Sign up if you're available to do that on election day, or even to help out. If you are currently not working or you're a consultant, start signing up where you can work at some of the places when early voting starts. We have a responsibility to start signing up people to register to vote. I want us each week, I'm going to increase the number this week, at least register one other person to vote. Speak with someone, get them registered. Check your voting information. You can go to vote.gov to do that, or vote.org. There's many sites. Just go out there and check it out. Y'all, we shall live. We shall live. We need to start canceling the fact that there's a lack of food supply. And we need to start praying that there's enough food to feed everybody. Amen. That's how we're going to take back territory. And that's how we're going to make a difference. If you're wondering, yeah, I'm real passionate about this. I am. Don't forget, for those of you who join later, don't forget when you're at the grocery store, if you're able to pick up 2 or 3 extra cans of whatever and take it to the food bank. Come July, the food is going to decrease. They're already putting that out there because the program for those with SNAP and other places are going to decrease. So food is going to be a need come July for those who are on different programs, and we want to make sure we want to participate in that. We may do something here with News in Motion. We don't know yet. We'll let you know in the next week or two what we're going to do with that. All right, y'all. I want y'all to have a fabulous weekend. This has been a lot of content. Do us a favor. Do us a favor. Next week, we're going to hit with more information. We're going to talk about all the different parties, what they stand for, the connection, the history. We're going to do that. That is needed when you go into the voting booths for the midterm election. So we're going to break all of that down. To our high school students, thank you. Thank you, teachers, for always tuning in, letting us know that you are listening and that you are teaching this information as well. If you want to sow into the work that I'm doing, I do not have Al Edmondson's CashApp. Kim Edmondson, if you're on here, please post that for Make a Difference. If you want to send a check to Make a Difference, we'll put that in the thread later on. Or you can join Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/Gail Dudley. Or you can Cash App Gail Dudley. At M as in Mary, I am as in Mary today. That stands for Ministry in Motion Today. The $sign, you can send that. We will be grateful. This is the work that we are doing. I have no problem sharing this with you. I'm usually a consultant for Franklin County Children's Services. I do training for them, for their staff, and for their foster care parents and so forth. I've decided that as of the session in May, the last session I teach in May, because the midterms are that important, I decided to take myself off of their calendar to do the research and time to do what I need to do to bring you, the viewers here at News in Motion, all the information that you need. So I'm giving up cash, y'all, to come here and supply the information. No, you haven't asked me to do that. I've made that choice to do that because this is that important. So I need your help. I need your help. All right, y'all, have a great weekend, y'all. Stay safe and remember, make some bold moves. I'm out.